Hello, and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview. This is a show where we take a look at the current edition of the North Coast Journal. My name is Matt Knight, and I am in for Tanya this week. And as usual, I am joined by North Coast Journal's news editor, Thad Greenson, and the arts and features editor, Jennifer Famiko Cahill. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
Hey there.
I'm doing okay. It's a beautiful day outside, except for the smoke. But, there's some really exciting things in the offing, and I think we ought to just crack on and find out what they are. And in this time, we're going to turn to Jennifer to tell us what is on the cover of the North Coast Journal this week.
It's exciting because this week is not just any week. In fact, it's not even a real week. It is a burger week. And as we were discussing before we started taping, Burger Week is not actually a 7-day week. It is a full Scaramucci. That means 10 days. Does everybody remember him? He was in the White House for like 10 days. Some mooch. Anyway, it is a full 10 days of burger madness. Previous years, there have been a lot of burgers, and people have tried to try every single burger. But I'm going to say this as a caution, not a dare. It cannot be done. It cannot be done this year. There are 31 burgers. Thad is shaking his head no.
It is only 3 burgers a day, Jen. It is totally doable. It's just about dedication.
So I wanted to ask Jennifer, how many of these burgers have you personally sampled?
I have not sampled any of them. That's the thing.
Okay.
Oh, so Burger Week is actually, this is a good thing for me to explain. Burger Week is actually not something I have any hand in choosing. Okay. It is a thing that comes from our marketing department, and it's a promotion that kind of gives a boost for local restaurants, but also, it's a fun occasion for them to make something different, to do specials. Things tend to be a little bit cheaper, and not always, but tend to be, or things that are maybe not sustainable for an everyday menu, but as a once in a while special. So this year, 31 different places jumped on. Some of them are food trucks, casinos. Some of them are restaurants where you wouldn't normally see a burger. And they're all here. And I feel like 3 burgers a day is pushing it.
Might be.
Maybe if you go with a friend, maybe if you tag team the burgers. But I mean, after having done the burger issue for the Journal years ago with Grant Scott Goforth, I saw what 3 burgers a day did to a person.
That was rough.
You start to look like a burger, I think, after a while.
Yeah, I definitely was having soggy bun. But anyway, there are some really great entries. And I think Thad, tell me if I'm wrong. If I had to choose what was the overarching theme this year, it is the jalapeno.
I feel like the jalapeno and then just going big. Like there is a lot of big, formidable burgers this year. It is not, not for the light of heart.
Yeah, I don't see a single slider on here. We're not doing sliders. We're doing big old burgers that are stacked with onion rings. For example, Fresh Freeze, which I think, is this Fresh Freeze's first entry? Maybe. They have 2 quarter-pound patties with pepper jack cheese, onion rings, jalapenos, spicy sriracha ranch. Comes with fries and a drink. Godspeed.
Wow.
There are a few others that are huge. Like, what is this one? There's one with fried pickles from Caps. There's Gallagher's has one that has corned beef on it. The Pineapple Express has a Loco Moco burger, which if you're familiar with the Loco Moco plate, that means that there is a fried egg and gravy on that bad boy.
Yeah, I saw that. I was also attracted to the Reuben burger. That looked to the best of 2 worlds there, Reubens and burgers, all in one sandwich.
There is. There's meat on meat violence.
Speaking of meat, I also was attracted to the prime beef tri-tip burger.
Well, the other thing too is it's for somebody who is not from here originally, and tri-tip was like a mysterious Californian cow part that emerges only here. That's what we usually make hamburger out of at home is tri-tip. So it's like burger on burger for us. There is also I don't know if you saw the one that's at Woodley Island at the
Yes.
Cafe Marina. Sauteed onions, mushrooms, Swiss cheese, bacon, cilantro. Like there's a lot of bacon on, which is, a standard item. Bob's Footlongs has one that's like an onion burger with garlic sauce, which is a relatively simple sounding burger. But I looked at it and I'm a little afraid. I'm a little scared because I don't think I can go in there and not get a chili dog as well.
I feel like bacon is sort of like standard equipment now. It's like you wouldn't buy a car without AC, and you wouldn't buy a burger without bacon. Am I right?
You're right. What are we
totally
doing?
right.
What are we doing? Perhaps, though, I wish that everybody listening could see the photo of the Elvis's Heartbreak Burger, which I think is a regular at the Alibi. I'm not sure, but I think it's on their regular menu. It comes with bacon and peanut butter. And that peanut butter in the photograph is made into a little peanut butter rose on top of the bacon because
Nice.
it's romantic. And
Wow.
The Southern Haystack at Alice's is just downright terrifying. It's like a hand tall and covered with all kinds of onion rings. And I think it's got haystack fries on it, fried pickles, smoked cheddar, pork belly bacon, jalapeno, of course.
I'm getting hungry.
Godspeed, everyone.
Just listening to all this.
It's always fun, and it's fun to see. It's fun to see people going a little bit crazy, going a little too far, and send us pictures, tag us on Instagram, and show us the carnage of your Scaramucci week of Burger Week.
Scaramouche, can you do the fandango?
Not after one of these burgers, I can't.
Probably not. All right. Well, thank you, Jen. Thanks for telling about that. And people get out there and get those burgers while the getting is good. So we're going to move on to the news and Thad. And Thad's got a couple of stories. And why don't you tell us what you're covering this week, Thad?
Yeah, so this week I wrote a story about a kind of call for community support from Food for People, Humboldt County's food bank, which runs a nutrition program in coordination with local schools. It's called the Backpacks for Kids program, and feeds more than 600 kids every year. And basically what it does is ensures that kids who kind of, from some of the poorest families in Humboldt County, who are on free school meals, so they get a free breakfast and free lunch every day while school is in session, make sure that they have food to eat over the weekend, which isn't always the case. And so Food for People kind of coordinates buying efforts, gets a bunch of kid-friendly foods from like granola bars and peanut butter to mac and cheese, things that can be kind of put together or made with limited parental supervision or involvement, and sends the bag home with the kids over the weekend so that they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner for Saturday and Sunday plus snacks. And this is run through, I think, 36 school sites countywide. And Food for People entering this school year kind of realized that it's seeing increased need across the board for all of its food services and pantry services. I think that Carly Robbins, the executive director over there, told me that food distributions are up this year 25 to 40% since January, which is just staggering considering that they were already at kind of historically high levels coming into the year. So at this time that Food for People is seeing kind of this huge increased need, food prices, as we know, are also going up. So its expenses are going up, and more families are kind of being spread thin. And that means, in addition to more people needing Food for People services, more people are just not able to donate and kind of keep Food for People going. And so this is a program, I think I said, run entirely through community support. It gets no state or federal funding. And so it's really incumbent on the community to keep it going. So talked to the folks there, and also caught up with Adam Natanel, I think that's how I pronounce his name, from the Fortuna Family Resource Center, and just had a really nice conversation with him about kind of what this food means for for students in that district. They serve about 100 down there, and he just said, just talked about the gratitude that students have expressed and families have expressed for being able to have this extra aid that really kind of keeps them going through the school year and ensures that they show up to school on Monday fed and ready to learn. There's a huge link between good nutrition and educational outcomes.
Yeah, and in addition to the rising costs, they're also looking for volunteers, food donations, which I think are also down as people are pressed themselves. They have less extra cash and extra food to give, so they're seeing less donations. So it's really a time for the community to step up. And I'm just going to give their contact information, which you can call them at 707-445-3166, or you can go online at foodforpeople.org, and you can find out ways that you might be able to help.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that, Matt. And I want to say, in addition to Food for People needing volunteers, one thing that just struck me as being so cool about this program is the collaborative nature of it. And so Food for People coordinates all these food purchases, but then it's folks from volunteers either from school districts or civic organizations like Rotary or Stroptimist that come to Food for People, pick up all this food, take it to another site, parse it out, pack it up in bags to be distributed among the school sites. Then schools coordinate pickup of these bags and then distribute it on Fridays to students. So it's a really multifaceted community effort, which I think is just really neat also.
Yeah, terrific. Well, there's that, and then you have a second story that you're following.
Yeah, we Jen and I and digital editor Kim Weir wrote an editorial this week, kind of looking at doing a little bit of media analysis, I would say, looking at a story that went viral out of Humboldt County last week. I think it broke on September 12th and 13th. And just kind of analyzing kind of why this story all of a sudden blew up and why this story in a county with so many interesting and important and issues going on. So the story is also not new. It's not like the story broke last week. The story was about the arrest of a man on September 12th, August 12th. For on suspicion of indecent exposure. He, according to police, he was masturbating by the side of the road down by Lolita, and a local blog reported on his arrest and noted that he had been a member of. Reported erroneously that he had been a member of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, a local group that puts on various fundraisers and does community outreach and is known to dress and drag and wear habits of Catholic nuns in a form of protest. And so a local blogger picked up the story, and then from there, a local kind of fringe conservative website reported on it and cast it as kind of that there was this big effort on the rest of the media's part to cover up the story somehow, which I'll just note as an aside. There are dozens of indecent exposure arrests in Humboldt County every year. It's not, unfortunately, not a unusual thing, and we report on virtually none of them. Crime reporting is not the journal's thing generally, unless it's such a big story that it can't be ignored, or there's kind of a layer of depth and intrigue that is different than the run-of-the-mill police blotter stuff. Anyway, so that all happened about a month ago, and then all of a sudden last week, a series of kind of conservative right-wing national news sites, from the Daily Caller to the Daily Wire to OWN and finally Fox News, all picked this up and ran stories about it with kind of sensational headlines about drag and indecent exposure, or drag and masturbation, or the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence and masturbation. Should be noticed that the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence's local chapter sent out a press release among other things, noting that this man was not a member of the Sisters locally, that he had essentially pledged or tried out for the group, had been in their kind of onboarding process or their vetting process for some months, and then dropped out. And the press release kind of took pains to say they have a very long and arduous onboarding process because they want to make people are a good fit for the organization and not going to dishonor the local chapter.
Which I just have to say that if this is the only story for people who have been gunning for the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence for the past year or so in particular, and after the LA Dodgers thing in particular, if this is the only thing they can keep up with, I need to know what that vetting system is, and we need to start applying that in hiring because that's a solid system.
Yeah. Well, yeah, selective, fact-free environment, I think, is what we are experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's such a blatant example too. I mean, this man was a U.S. Army veteran and a longtime member and one-time president of the local Redwood Honor Guard that puts on Memorial Day events and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that could have been picked out of this man's resume to kind of plaster in a national headline if somebody so chose, and it's just really interesting that they chose the organization he was briefly affiliated with 3 years ago to highlight, and I don't think it's a coincidence why.
Yeah, and I must have missed their story about the Santa Rosa Diocese dumping pedophile priest in Humboldt County.
I reported on that pretty extensively, and I don't remember it being picked up nationally, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not.
I think something that really got my goat about it was, Thad got phone calls about this, there were emails and things, and people kept on saying like, oh, but the children are in danger. There were literally no children on the scene. And when I look at the way that Humboldt County is topping the charts in our state for child abuse, child neglect, for, all these other issues, and, when I look at what law enforcement folks tell us about where and in what situations and with whom children are actually being sexually abused, with family, coaches, clergy, teachers, neighbors, to ignore those real threats and to still, put this like stranger in drag danger out as the thing that we should all be hysterical about is so insulting and so counter to the welfare and well-being of actual children that I really am appalled by the way that, children's safety is used as a cudgel against a group of marginalized people who are, as Thad, dug up in our statistics in the piece, are far more likely to be victims of violent crimes than their straight cis counterparts. And yeah, it's been frustrating to watch over and over again, and it is in particular grating to see it being drawn from our county.
Yeah,
absolutely. And if I could just kind of put a bow on that, my experience of last week into this week of working on both the editorial that we published and the reporting on Food for People, 20% of children in Humboldt County live in abject poverty and are food insecure. Our food bank does not have enough money to provide all of them food to eat over the weekends. There are lots of very, very real threats on our children's health and safety and well-being in Humboldt County. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, pride groups, drag shows, there's just no evidence to show any of these are any real threat. So if you want to help a child in Humboldt County, put down or close the OWN website window or the Fox News website window and donate $325 to Food for People, which will feed a child for a school year.
Amen.
Excellent idea.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll be continuing to cover this story as we go along, and people can check out the entire story by picking up current edition of the North Coast Journal. So, Jen, turning back to you in the last 5 minutes or so we've got here.
Okay.
What else is happening? Switch gears, take a deep breath, maybe take a cracker as a palate cleanser, and tell us.
You know I have snacks.
I know you do. And did you bring enough to share? That's my question.
I did not. That's why I do Zoom and
shame
and
on you.
But there is plenty going on in the back of the book, including once again, Colin Yeo has a really great set list, and he is waxing poetic about fall and very into urging everyone to have a great season. He has some really cool shows lined up. Please check them out. There are some sort of heavy hitters coming through town, which is exciting. And we also have, the one that he is looking at, there's like some Turkish music coming through. It's going to be good. So take a look. And also we have a story from Tamar Burris, who has written about a show that one of our other arts writers, Gabrielle Gopinath, with her partner, Ben Funke, has put together a show at the Brenda Tuxford Gallery, which is with the Visitors Bureau. I know it's confusing and weird, but they're in the same place, just split down the middle like roommates. And it's a very cool assemblage of different Humboldt artists doing all different medium. Becky Evans, who we talked about a couple weeks ago, is in the show, among other people, including L.L. Kessner, another journal contributor in the arts. They've just been really busy. I know it seems like, oh, are you only covering people who are involved in the journal? In fact, we are not. They're just hella busy, as you like to say in Northern California. And but they're really a very diverse bunch of artworks. There are really minimalist paintings. There are sculptures that have salmon bones and mud in them. There are all kinds of things, some really beautiful kind of colorful paintings from Laura Corsiglia. And it's a great show, and it's so small that you can just sort of walk in, take a turn, and enjoy it and come out, which is just a pleasure. You can like really sit with one of the paintings or one of the pieces for longer, and it's great. So you should go check that out. And also check out the Visitor Center, because you probably haven't been in. And then we also have a wonderful recommendation for what you should be doing in your garden right now. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. It should not make you feel pressured. In fact, some of Julia Graham-Witt's advice is to let stuff slide, including maybe not deadheading everything. For the pollinators, just like we're not mowing our lawns, for the pollinators. Evidently, bugs love the deadhead flowers, and they love the weeds in your garden and the overgrown grass and things like that. And then birds love to eat those bugs. Not all of them are pollinators. And Julia Graham-Witt has sort of the essential things you could be doing, which includes native plants. And native plants ultimately will save you labor too, because they live on less water, they take less fuss. You're not trying to make something grow in a climate it's not meant for. Far, far easier and very pretty. And you can see a photo of a wonderful garden she did in Eureka with her business, Two Green Thumbs, that has like 99% native plants, and it's gorgeous. So wonderful recommendations there to save you time and effort down the road.
Well, I got to say, by Julia's standards, we must have the best garden in town. I don't even think you can enter our garden, but anyway, neither here nor there.
For the pollinators.
For the pollinators, they're having a hell of a time in our garden. Well, thank you so much, guys. That's gonna where we're gonna have to leave it this week. North Coast Journal's current edition is on newsstands now. You can get North Coast Journal 24/7 at northcoastjournal.com. Thad and Jen, thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Matt.